Okay, everyone, I think we're going to get started. Hello, I know I've met a lot of you. My name is Eric McHenry, your international president, and this is our probably second year of doing these campfire chats. We do them quarterly. We have a great time. The purpose of these campfire chats is twofold. One is to share a little bit about the highlights of what's going on in our club, but probably more importantly, is to allow all of y'all to ask questions, give suggestions, find out what's going on. It helps us greatly, probably more than you think. But we're going to talk for about an hour today, and we'll have questions and answers. And so, before I introduce the rest of the team, I do want to let people know that we've always said, this is Lori Tilton and myself, that any question is fine. We welcome any question. We will answer any question to the best of our ability, unless it's confidential. If we do not know the answer, we will get back to you. So feel free to ask the questions. That's kind of why we're here. So let me introduce a couple of people. First, Lori Tilton, I'll come back to her. She's our executive director. Christy Yanyan, she's our marketing and communications manager. She works as part of our 5 or 6 person staff in Jackson Center. And Christy will be helping moderate the Q&As and answer some of them and kind of keeping us on track. Really excited tonight to also be joined by Florence Tremoni. Florence is our Region 10 president, and she has a really interesting message that she wants to convey to you and talk to you about this upcoming constitutional vote that'll help our club decide the structure of our financial leadership in the club. Ray Combs is joining us also. Ray is our international caravan chair. And one of the things we hear about the most in our club is caravans. So Ray is prepared to answer pretty much any question. And in the last campfire chat, we actually had a member who volunteered to sign up for leading a caravan and getting trained. So the bar is set high on that. So hopefully
Go
you'll have
for
a lot of
two.
questions for both. Oh, 2 people?
No, I said let's go for two. Let's go for
Go
two
for
more.
4.
Oh, three.
So let me just pass it to Lori, introduce herself. And some of you, by the way, may have known her as Lori Plummer. She is the same person. So Lori, on to you.
Oh, I'm blushing. Can you guys tell that I'm blushing a little bit? So, good evening, everybody. As Eric said, I'm Lori Tilton now, the executive director. I recently got married, so that is why the name change. So I've been to club since 2014. I'm going on my 10th year this fall. And as Eric said, we've been doing this for a couple years, so it is very enjoyable. We want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is a way to communicate and help us take some things back to the drawing board, see what we can do to improve the experience for our members.
Yes, and I do this as well as the other region presidents almost always at their region rallies or other events. I just was invited to join Region 9 down in Bandera, Texas. Thanks, Nancy and the team. And we had a similar session down there, but we're really interested in hearing feedback. Alrighty, so here's what we're going to go through today. And again, I just have to stress that our goal is not to just sit and give a PowerPoint presentation, but it's to kind of give you an overview of what's going on and then kind of go back and forth with questions and answers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy session that we had a couple of months ago in Jackson Center for our International Board of Trustees. And then Lori's going to talk a little bit about sort of what's going on with our membership, sort of our growth and what we're seeing in trends, and also talk a little bit about our discounts and benefits. I know Lori and I are always just a little surprised that a lot of this information is not known to our members, what's available to them as tangible benefits of being in our club, aside from the joy of going to rallies and hanging out with our friends. I'm going to talk a little bit about some infrastructure or development work we're going on in Jackson Center, about our headquarters historical center concept we have, and downstream at RV Park also potentially as well. Invited Florence Tremoni. Florence is speaking on behalf of the IBT. Florence led a committee to take a look at how we better align some of our volunteer members with respect to competencies in finance. And she's got a recommendation that the EC agreed and IBT agreed to. And there will be a very, very important vote that you all have to vote in, or ask you to vote in June. And of course, Ray on caravans. And if we have time, I'm just going to mention a little thing that we're going to be joining soon with the Vintage Airstream Club. It's an around the world caravan reenactment for the 1963 to 64 caravan. and also a really cool rally in Jackson Center to recognize Helen Schwamborn, who is the founder of our club with Wally Bynum. All right, so on the questions, I see some have coming already, and we will answer those kind of in steps.
Yeah, I can answer. Yeah.
What actually, I'm gonna go through the strategy session first, and then we'll go to
Okay.
the first step in questions. So this is the second year that our International Board of Trustees has met together in a room to really rough out and finalize our club's strategic priorities. And the way I talk about priorities to people is we have limited resources defined as people, money, and time. And so we need to figure out how we align those resources of our club toward a common set of goals, right? Because otherwise you kind of get nothing done. And I'm really proud. It's probably one of the things I'm most proud about of my time being in the club is that we've really nailed down a set of strategic priorities among the leadership, which is the International Board of Trustees, which are all volunteers. It's your 12 region presidents and your 9 executive council members that the members elected. Plus, of course, Lori Tilton is there from a staff standpoint, as is our parliamentarian and a couple of other people. So this may not look very different from last year, but I think it's really important to talk about sort of what continued and what changed. So we continued to focus on internal communications, and this we're doing tonight is in fact a good example of that. We know it's really, really important to talk about what's happening in the club because a lot of our members just don't know. We have a lot of material going out there, but all of us have busy email lives and fun lives, and we really want to make sure you all understand what's happening in our club and how you can get involved. And also we want to make sure that you understand enough to give us your suggestions also. External communication continues to be one of our strategic priorities, and that's really about the fact that we are not on an island, right? We have partners that we never had before. We're working with the media like we've never had before. We're working with Airstream Inc. like we never have before, and it's really important to make sure that all of those people understand about our club, what we do, what we give to our members, why it's important for Airstream owners, and what they will get out of the club. So we're spending a lot of time on talking about that because that really helps us with downstream partnerships and also helps us explain to potential members about our club and sort of the joy that we see in our club. The third bullet also continued on from last year, and that's a critical one around welcoming and retaining members. Now, that's not just new members. It's our long-term members as well. And we know for a fact that if we do not do a good job welcoming a new person to our club, that they often will maybe be in the club for a year or two. They may never come to one of our rallies or event. They may never feel like they were asked. They may feel like, oh, it's kind of a closed group of people. But if we welcome them in, then what we find almost unilaterally is that they come to an event, they have a wonderful time, and they become long-term members. But it's also really important to retain our current members. So one thing we'll talk about a little bit later that I always forget to talk about, it's a best practice that a lot of organizations do. Whenever people leave our club, um, don't renew their memberships, we send out a exit survey, much like any business would do. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and we ask them, "Hey, what was your experience like in the club? Why did you choose to not renew? Any suggestions you have for us?" And while any one individual comment may not be a trend, we do find that when we look at them in aggregate, we do see some trends. Those trends are generally about, I didn't really use my trailer. I didn't really know how to join my Airstream. I didn't really know where to go. I need more information. But as Lori has shared with the Executive Council and IBT many times, the number one reason that people do not renew their membership is because they sold their Airstream or they're no longer able to, for whatever reason, to tow or to drive their Airstreams. We do have other issues as well, but that's another one of our continual learning and continual improvement processes to find out how we're doing and try to make sure that we address any issues that are out there. We left infrastructure on there, and that's really a broad view of infrastructure, right? Infrastructure are things that it's physical infrastructure, physical assets like buildings and roofs and driveways and plumbing and water heaters and blah, blah, blah. But it's also software infrastructure, right? Because any large organization nowadays relies a lot on its software. It's often hosted by people like Microsoft or Dropbox or whatever, but that stuff comes at a cost, and we have to make sure that we invest in that software infrastructure appropriately, and we plan also for when that infrastructure needs replacement. So for example, we know that a typical desktop computer may have a usable lifetime of 5 years, 6 years, who knows? We have to make sure that we budget for replacing those every 5 or 6 years. The same thing for a roof on a building. We in the past as a club have not done a great job of doing that. And so we are faced sometimes with capital expenses that we have not put away money for. So we're putting a big focus on that to make sure that we have no surprises and that we're funded appropriately for future years for, stability and things like that. Training, again, stayed on there. I think pretty much everyone a lot of you all have been asked to volunteer in your local clubs or your regions. I have, my wife has. That's how we started in the club and leadership. And almost universally, someone asks you, and fortunately, we have wonderful members, and you all say, yeah, I'd love to volunteer to do something, be it a treasurer, be it a vice president or president or a recording secretary or do rallies. But the problem is there's no training on how to do that job. And so we're trying to really provide more tools to the local clubs in the regions about how do we take these volunteers, this wonderful volunteer base we have of 18,000 members, get them trained up and get them so that they're not frustrated in their volunteer efforts. The one that's new this year that we had started a little bit last year, but it really got on our list now, is making sure that we have really good financial stability and literacy in our board. And the financial literacy is really important. So I've been in the club for 13, 14 years, and until recently, um, our board had not really spent a lot of time on the financial structure of our club. Now, though, we have quarterly business meetings with the International Board of Trustees, and each one of those quarterly business meetings, we look at our prior quarter financial results. We're looking at policies. We're looking at things such as P&L versus actual P&L versus budget. That's profit and loss versus actual profit and loss versus budget. We look at balance sheets. We look at cash flow statements, things that we never looked at before. And it's really important that we have a really strong financial stability, but it's also really important that the region presidents and to some extent local club presidents, and certainly for our caravans, they understand that here are the basic terms of financial that we have to do for reporting and transparency and for financial control. So that's a big effort. And frankly, it also drops into why it's important. And Florence is going to talk about that later, about a proposal to change the structure of our treasurer. Okay, so those are our strategic priorities. And before we go to Lori, let's see if we can answer some of those questions.
Well, I can tell you, Eric, I answered the one for Tracy having some difficulties getting dues renewed, which gave her some options there on what we can do to help her with that. And actually the next question rolls right into talking about member benefits and discounts. So Gail is asking about new benefits for Canadian members. We are working on that. One of the tire companies, I know we're working very hard to make that happen, but I also know that Christy would love to have someone from Canada to help her make some headway with some of the partners. Of course, any of the products are not an issue going across the border, but some of them she definitely can use some help. So as we've been talking, I think this list has grown tremendously in the last 2 to 3 years, and this has been a focus. And actually, I'm gonna keep talking about Christy, although she's not on camera. She's there in the background. But Christy, this is a lot of what she does, and she's working with our partners. And it's just not partners making discounts, getting discounts for our members, but as well as, help sponsor an event at the International Rally and help support our Blue Beret and whatever we can do partner wise is we're trying to do it out there. So as you can see, this is a huge list. Again, I would love for you guys to all go to our website and go into that members portal or the membership portal to get to the discounts and benefits. Some of this stuff is exclusive just to us, so it's not out there for everybody to see what kind of discounts we have. There's codes and everything behind the wall. So we are working on getting vintage camper trailer magazines coming along. We also recently, the last time we were here, I think we pointed out that RB Life Pro, we now have a discount with them. Zargus, which is the amazing containers, the pretty bear, actually, the grizzly proof containers, I believe is one of their taglines. So this is awesome, and this is something that we will continue. If you have any ideas or any contacts of that nature, let us know on those. Do we want to go
Yeah,
to?
let me answer a question. There's one, Rob had a question. He's the president of Indie Streamers, the Intra Club. And his question is, are intra clubs, are they represented on the International Board of Trustees, et cetera? And could there be a way to do that? The answer is that they are represented by a member of the executive council. So this is something we implemented probably about a year and a half ago, where every intra club has a liaison on the executive council. And that's for VAC, Classic, Pride Streamers, Indie Streamers, Boondockers, Future Streamers, Grapes and Grains, Stella Sisters, and Amateur Radio. Those all have a dedicated person. And in fact, Rob, your liaison is Marsha Howes on the EC. And by having that liaison on the executive council, that executive council liaison is responsible for working with the intra club president to make sure that if there's topics that need to come to or should come to the executive council or IBT, that executive council member works with the president of the intra club to get them on the agenda or get the reports in or have a discussion topic. So yes, you have a liaison, work through that liaison. The intra clubs do not get a chance to vote, but they are represented through a specific liaison. We also, yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Lori, back to you. Do you want to go back talk about our membership stats?
Yeah, and actually, sorry for y'all on the West Coast. I'm right outside of Jackson Center, Ohio, so this is like way past my bedtime. So I get a little wonky, so I'll apologize ahead of time. But during the benefits, I did forget to mention Harvest Host. If Kathy's out there listening, she's probably gonna smack me next time she sees me. So we are still in process of making that transition to the new platform with Harvest Host. Super excited for that to take flight. I know we're getting close to get some testers, beta testers here in the next probably 6 weeks or so. And then more towards the fall is when it will be released to everybody. Again, you do not have to be a member of Harvest Host. They are going to power our courtesy parking system. So our courtesy parking that you see on our website and whatnot will be ending towards the end of this year. So super excited for that to happen. If you have any questions, contact Kathy or HQ and we can help you with that if you want to participate or just learn more about it. That's a super exciting thing that will be happening. Okay.
I just want to add in something that if you are a Harvest Host person and you haven't been online to the app, they updated their website and their app probably about a month or two ago. It is really impressive, and we're really excited because we will have those same features. You know, for example, my wife Laverne and I, we use Harvest Host a lot, and you can now say, "Hey, look, I'm going on I-80 between California and Ohio during these months of the year. And I'm looking for a place that can take a 30-foot trailer that's at a winery and a distillery. Show me which ones have vacancies." It's seriously that easy. And it shows you a list of properties. You can hit click request ability to stay. You get automated emails back that say, hey, your request has been received. So you know it went through. And then within a day or so, typically you get an answer back from the host saying, yes, you're approved to stay. It's quite remarkable. And it's our strong belief is that when this capability rolls out also to our courtesy parking, which is Airstream Club members only, that our members will use courtesy parking more. It's just been kind of challenging to use in the past. So we're really excited about it. We're taking our time to roll it out to make sure we do it right. There's a lot of communications to the host, the people that have the properties, the sort of 300 or 400 people, sorry, more like 600 people, sorry. And then we're going to be rolling it out to the members. So, and there's a lot of security stuff in the background we're trying to work on the technical side to make sure that personal information from our club is not exposed to the general public or the general Harvest Host members, that it stays within and limited to our members. Okay, just to answer another question from Gail. Gail asked, are the liaisons for the various intra-clubs listed on the website? No, they're not. The intra-club leaders, the presidents know who they are, because the exec council person reaches out to the intra-clubs. So if you have a question on who the liaison is, just ask the intra-club president and they should be able to tell you, or you could just ask me and I'll tell you. Okay,
Okay.
and we'll work on getting the context. Sometimes when we have changes at the intra-club level in their leadership, the information about the liaison doesn't necessarily come across. So we'll try to make sure that we get that updated. Thanks, Rob. We'll work on that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Lori.
All right, so back to discounts and benefits. I neglected to mention, although I had this huge note in front of me, I'm gonna say it again. So car generator, if you purchase a product from them before May 31st, you're going to receive the 5-year premium extended warranty included at no cost. Plus, you also get the exclusive club member discount. Also, Goodyear is working on there'll be a special promotion coming up soon in the spring. It's going to be a discount we think, don't tell anybody. It's going to be much deeper than the 15%. So I think I got it all covered on the discounts and benefits now.
Okay. And by the way, I just posted in the chat the intra-club liaison leaders. So, okay. All right. I'll pass this next one to Lori. We're on to membership, right?
Yeah, I'll just keep on embarrassing myself. It's a great night. All right. So, as you can see on this chart, right now, actually, as of April 30th, we're at 9463 memberships. Memberships equal 2 people. 16% of those memberships are single. So we're right around the 17,000 plus people within this club. And the rate that we're going right now, we are going to far exceed 2023 numbers. I'm confident we're going to hit the 10,000 mark before the end of the year. Things are starting to pick up more and more with our Explorer program. For those who don't know, that is the program that the Airstream company, the factory, is sponsoring the first year membership. So it started last July. We're about 600, and it is just now really starting to get out into the dealerships, because they're the frontline workers, that they're the ones that need to help us make this be successful. So we're super excited about that is growing. And I actually got an email right before the meeting asking why they're coming in as what we call, as you all know, members at large. Well, Barb Darien, our international membership chair, is working with these folks coming in, and we're guiding them. Our primary goal, as Eric mentioned earlier, is to get them to an event. We know if we can get them to an event, they're going to find their people. And this email I received earlier today is exactly how this perfect way for it to happen. A brand new member came to an event, they found some people they really liked, and then before the event was over, they transferred into that local club. And that's the ultimate goal, is to get them with our local folks. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So here's kind of a graph of our joins, not kind of, but it is a graph. And if you can see where we were in 2019 compared to where we are today, you can just see the craziness of the escalation of our join. So I really do count that on towards all the branding we've done, the new website, which started around launched in 2020, and all these different things we're doing to bring people in. So I'm really proud of the club and all of our members of helping us welcome these new people in.
So Lori, a bit of kudos for you and your team there. So how many people do you have there now in HQ?
We have, well, as of last week, we have 6.
Good. So back up to staffing, and
we're back up to staff. Well, we're back up to the short staff we originally had. Not the short. but it's short.
And so when you look at the number of people, the number of new members, and so if you look at April, March, and February, April was 300 new members, 300 new members joined, 300
Yep.
memberships, 300 new memberships joined in April. And if you think about that, that's on average 10 per calendar day. That is a lot. And so for each new member that joins, there's a fairly, because we're a complicated club, there's a fairly complicated process of what's your big red number do you want, and iterations on which big number you want, getting your material, questions, getting you distributed to the right local club of the region. So just kudos to Lori and the team. They do a ton of work trying to get our members onboarding. And this is part of that welcoming and then subsequently retaining our members. Have that initial experience be a really welcoming, warm, thank you for joining our club. How can we help you? How can we make sure that you enjoy your time in the club? So Lori, great job for you and your team there.
Thank you. We love it.
Okay, any other closing comments on the membership stuff?
No, I think we're good right now. Did I forget anything? Or did I get it covered?
I think you did. So there's a
Okay.
question that Phil asked, a really good question, Phil. He asked, new member / Airstream owner here, how linked is the membership growth to Airstream sales? I would say it's kind of a second order link in the sense that it's not a primary link, but it is related. So as you probably all know, and also it's what we call the trailing indicator also. So the RV industry grew like crazy during the pandemic. That, however, has been over for a couple of years now in terms of sort of the RV, buying spree. And in fact, a number of RV companies are seeing some slowing in their orders. Airstream is not as much affected by a whole bunch of reasons, but yet you still see this fairly strong growth in our members. So it's obviously not tied directly to the number of Airstreams sold. What I think it is that there's more of an awareness now. And this goes back to the work that Lori and her team have done around internal communications, external communications, a much better job with the membership chairs and the region local clubs of reaching out to people and saying, hey, have you heard about our club? The revamped Blue Beret, it's more modern now. It looks more like what people who are buying Airstreams would expect in 2024, all the email correspondence. So I think in marketing, there's an expression called awareness and preference and selection. And so there's more of an awareness of what our club is. The work that we're doing with the dealers is really important. I'm just going to go down a little bit of a tangent here, but one thing that Airstream Inc. has been sharing with their dealers recently, and this is part of our strategy, is the role and the importance of our club to Airstream owners. Because if you think about it from a manufacturer standpoint, if you're trying to sell an Airstream, you're competing against other RV, brands. But the one thing that's different about our club, and it's unique, is that if you buy an Airstream, there's a club that's awaiting you to do things with. We have like 800 events per year. And so now it becomes a selling point, right? Of saying, hey, look, are you thinking about a Jayco or an Airstream or whatever an Airstream? If you get an Airstream, there's this club that has all these really cool events and caravans. And because we've been working really hard with Airstream Inc. and then with the dealers, they understand more about our club. They're excited about our club, and people are joining. So it's kind of connected. So kind of a long answer to a short question, but I don't know how long this trend will stay this way. But it's definitely not solely tied to the growth of the RV industry, because we would have seen that a couple of years ago.
Hey, I'm
Okay.
gonna jump back in here, Eric. There's some membership questions. Amy's asking about some reports. Amy, I'm not sure if you're aware, any of the membership chairs that are local, regional, they have their own portal within our database that they can pull stuff to make them do their jobs more efficiently, and they don't always have to wait on HQ. So if you're the information you're looking for, I believe is there. If not, contact HQ and they'll take a look for you. Terry Warren, hi Terry. What should a member do if they attach to a local club and it isn't a good fit? They can transfer. It's that easy. You are not if you choose a club and things just aren't what it wants to be, we have 100 and so many more out there. So please don't feel like you have to stay with them forever. It's a simple email or phone call to HQ. We will transfer you to a different group or wherever you want to go, and that's no problem. We'll make it easy peasy.
And it's why I mentioned the fact that we do exit surveys, because
Yeah.
it's really important for our board, the IBT and the exec council, to understand if a member has joined our club and had a bad experience and why. And we hope we try to, you'd be surprised how many conversations we have. And often they're around, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could change the whole club. I didn't know that, blah, blah, blah. And so this interactivity with our members really helps us a lot. Okay. Let me go on to the next topic. And I'll go through this very briefly because I want to make sure we have time to talk about the treasurer and the caravans. So a number of you've heard in the past that we've been looking at what we do with our properties in Jackson Center, our buildings and our land. And so this is a presentation that's going to the International Board of Trustees in a couple of weeks. Myself, J.D. Stetler, EC member, and Alan Rabb, our treasurer, are going to be presenting this to this. We talked about this back in Jackson Center as well in our strategy meeting. But essentially, here's the plan for what's going to happen in Jackson Center. Now, on the right, there's an aerial image of the properties in Jackson Center. And what's in green is our historical property. We got this back in the 60s. A very generous member, a club member, donated probably, I don't know, 10, 12 acres to the club. And upon those acres was built a clubhouse, built an office building up here at the top. We've outgrown that from staff standpoint. I try to be polite, but if you go into the headquarters, they keep the front clean for visitors, but behind that front desk, it's chaos and it looks horrible. And they're just stuffed in there like crazy. So our club decided to acquire the building next door. And so we acquired that about 9 months ago, I'd say. And that's what's in red. And our headquarters staff is moving into that probably in the fall. Right now, they're going through interior reconfiguration. And I just have to say, what's really cool about this is that we have so many talented members. A bunch of our members from Region 4, Region 3 have volunteered to come with construction backgrounds, have volunteered to come down and do some of the interior reconfiguration. In other words, sledgehammers doing drywall and electrical stuff. It's really neat. And so they've reduced the cost to do that tremendously. And I'm just so thrilled at this for a whole bunch of reasons. And so what we're going to be doing with the old building, the one in the green, is that we've heard there's a strong interest in having an historical center. Mind you, we're mid 60 years old as a club. We have a lot of really cool historical things that come from our past caravans, our past rallies, past clubs that have folded, and we lose all the information and history. So we've been working a lot with our historical standing committee and our vintage airstream club to figure out how we have a place that we can display some of this historical information and also have it archived in a way that preserves it for people coming after us. And so we're going to turn that 803 East Pike, which is the old building, into a historical center. We're going to make sure that there's room in there as a clubhouse for people visiting. Members visiting can just go and hang out and relax and work, lounge, good Wi-Fi, bathrooms, maybe a washing machine and a dryer. We're planning to put just a modest 5 to 10 overnight parking spots with hookups, do some as needed repair to the roof to make it suitable for that. We're probably going to administer the overnight parking request for members through our courtesy parking app. Like, why not, right? From a funding standpoint, we're committed to not use any of your membership dues. We're going to be running a capital campaign for that. So that way it kind of spreads the capital expenses to the people who have an interest in donating. And remember, this whole plot of land was donated to us in the 60s. So we're hoping we continue to have some members that feel it's important and help us make it a reality. Later, we're going to be moving on forward, we think, with an RV park. The feasibility study was completed about a couple of months ago. It looked really attractive. However, we decided that we want to go in baby steps first. We want to try this historical center, 5 to 10 spots, see how that works. And then after that, we can expand into the rest of the parcel in the back to build a bigger RV park, if that makes sense at the time. So it's a really good plan. I'm really happy with the IBT and the people working on it. This is a quick slide of our Jackson Center, our headquarters office. That little modest brown building is where Lori and her team have been working for quite a bit. And you can see we want to preserve its historical look to it and make it a historical building and the display in the archives and have some parking in it. So again, we're quite excited about that. Okay, Now I'm going to switch over to, but if any of you have any more questions about that, ask me privately. This will also be on discussion at our International Board of Trustees meeting on May 23rd as well. So now, Florence, let me hand it over to you to talk about the constitutional vote and what's going on behind that.
Thank you, Eric. Before I do that, I happened to pop over to the Q&A, and I saw that there was a question about the Airstream exclusive dealership that's opening in Edmonton.
Yeah, can
And I have been, Lori actually connected me with the owners of this dealership. We chatted a couple of times before the Region 10 rally. Told them that I just needed a little breathing space to get through that rally. And we are going to re-engage next week. And I will be connecting them with Malcolm, which is the Alberta Saskatchewan president. And we will get all that underway and messaging out to the Canadian members in that area.
Yeah, and I just want to tag on that, Florence, that I met the gentleman what, a month ago maybe. I spent an afternoon with them, gave them a presentation about the club. The reason why the club hasn't announced it is because we were asked not to. That was not our role. They wanted to do their announcements and all their stuff. And so we did what we did behind the scenes to get Florence connected, and I'm excited. This is kind of a different way we're working with the dealer, so it's amazing. So, all right,
And I
go
have to
ahead,
point
Florence.
back to strategic objectives. This was a goal. This did not happen by accident. This is about a bit of 3-year initiative by Lori and myself and others to get that trusted connection with Airstream Inc. and their dealers. So they reach out to us first and they tell us first when something is opening. And then we connect them with the regions and hear what's happening. So kudos. Thanks, Florence. Thanks, Lori. Okay, back to you, Florence.
Okay, thank you, Eric. So about, I don't know what it's been, 7, 8 months ago, we formed a committee to look at elections policies, since we are under a new leadership structure. It's only been a short year. And one of the things that we felt was lacking was that as our club is growing, has grown in financial complexity, the leadership governing that, overseeing that, has not. We still have a treasurer who is elected from the eligible executive council members. It is not always great because we don't know if we're going to have somebody with financial background who can drive this boat. So we wanted to come up with a way to put a financial director. This is a new position, a financial director in charge. This would replace our treasurer. And to do so, we have to change the Constitution. And to change the Constitution, we have to go to our membership and explain why we are doing this, how we are going to do it, when we are going to do it. The special election we are calling for is at the end of June. It'll be the 20th to 27th of June. And I believe, if I'm not incorrect, we've only come to the membership in our long history maybe 5 or 6 times for this special ask. We're not in line with the normal election year to do this year. To me, the real what I call the real heavy lift here is that 20% of our membership has to show up for this to count. And that also is in our Constitution. We have, as you just heard from Lori, we have upwards of 17,000, 18,000 individual members, maybe only 9,500 to 10,000 BRNs, but the individual members all get a vote. So of those, say, let's call them 18,000 votes, we need 20% to show up, which means click on the email you're going to get from us, read the motion, and vote your wish. of those, we need 2/3 to say they approve of this change. That's maybe, I don't know, 26, 27, 2,800 people. It doesn't sound like a lot, but based on our voting history, it's gonna be tight, and we're doing this to try to let everybody know why we're doing this. So essentially, we began this work to define and design this new position of the finance director. This person we thought needed to have a very deep expertise and extensive background in finances, not just well, I don't mean to demean accountants in any way, but not just accounting principles. We needed somebody who could forecast into the future, who could set monetary policy, who could help us with our real estate holdings, like Eric just described. We've become a pretty complex financial entity, nonprofit financial entity. Today, we elect our treasurer. The IBT elects our treasurer from the 9 eligible members of the executive council. As I said, there may not be someone with financial background on the EC. We're looking for long-term stability, long-term financial growth, long-range planning. So we created this position, you're going to vote on it, that would submit a statement of candidacy. That person would have read the job description that we have put together, saying what all the responsibilities are. And the group of people that this is going out to is you. It's the membership. So anybody out there with the financial background to have this position can throw their hat in the ring, which is very new for this club. So we have a fabulous pool of 18,000 people to choose from. A couple of things that are different about this new position. Well, let me say what's the same. What's going to stay the same is that the voting numbers on the IBT stay the same. We're not adding or changing the number of votes that your leadership has. This new finance director position will be non-voting and not bound by term limits. Let me address non-voting first. We felt that this position should not be bound by the thought of, oh my goodness, I have to vote on this measure that I am the one that wrote the proposal and I have to vote, or maybe it's something counter to what they are proposing. And we just felt that financial director should be able to remove him or herself from voting on the types of things that the IBT discusses. Term limits. We chose or recommended that there be no term limits because actually this started from a talk that a couple of us had with Lori early on in this discussion. And she said, in my almost 10 years, it's like 12 months, 12 months, 12 months. Every year we get a new treasurer and there's this it's very steep learning curve. And as soon as they're getting in the groove, it's all over. So we felt that no term limits would give us a great stable person. And the way that we kind of put in a de facto term limit is that every 2 years, the IBT has to vote to keep this person in office. And that in itself is a term limit. You know what, can you, no, I guess it's okay if you leave that up. Eric, I was just rambling. What we also defined is that, so this finance director is not operating in a vacuum all by themselves. The finance director, as does the treasurer today, works hand in hand daily on the daily operations with the executive director, with Lori, but is also backed by a very stacked and experienced finance committee. And we're super fortunate in just in the last few months in the growth. We now have 5, I believe, finance committee members, all with amazing, strong backgrounds. And the interim treasurer, who actually worked with us to develop this amendment you're going to vote on. He was Coca-Cola North America CFO. I don't know what more we could ask for to lead us in our financial future. This is, again, I gotta reiterate, this is a member-driven position. We are soliciting, not we, the committee, but the long-range recruiting committee will be soliciting candidates from the entire membership. And even though it sounds like a huge job, this is not a paid position. We're all volunteers. All the leadership of this club is all volunteers. And I think it's, this is not a charged question. This is not I don't feel that this is going to be a charged issue. There is 100% backing from all the IBT on this. We've discussed this really at length over the last few months, many meetings. I can't even tell you how many, probably hundreds hours of Zoom meetings. And this is the opportunity for members to speak their minds and vote. I just encourage you to vote, but vote either way, but just click on that email when you get it and vote. You're muted, Eric.
Who's responsible for auditing the ACI financials? Can you speak to the historical role we've had of a CPA?
Yeah, so the club has had a CPA firm, I think, for decades. Yes, Lori? 3-4 decades. And there will continue to be external audits. I think there will be more regular external audits than there have been in the past, because now we have, we're going to have leadership that understands the importance and value of doing those audits annually.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to look at these other questions. Ray, there's already a caravan question.
Let's I apologize, we're going a little bit later. It's kind of my rambling on. Let's go to caravans and then we can flip back to finance.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Am I up?
You're up.
Caravans so far 24 have been very successful. We've already run 8. We've got another 13 more to go. We have 2 going right now. A lot of great feedback. Heard a lot about the new Florida campaign, about the new Texas campaign. Gone to Texas 6-shooter. We've had some problems, however, with some of the situations involving wait lists. We'll get into that momentarily, but I just wanted to let everybody know that there are some vacancies left in 24, particularly the springtime in the Rockies leaves 23rd of this month. I think Bob has 1 vacancy. If you're interested, give him a call. Sipping across Missouri, one of the grapes and grains caravans, leaving on 8/20, has a couple of vacancies left. And the Route 66, the mother lode of the Mother Road, has several vacancies. It leaves in September. So if you want to go one on 24, those have some vacancies. You can go without having to be on the wait list, assuming it's not too late. 2025, some new caravans. Kids on the Ridge, a new short caravan where grandparents can bring their grandkids if in fact the grandkids want to go with the grandparents, and if the grandparents want to take the grandkids. It's going to be a great caravan, a lot of exciting things for kids. Also, we are trying to eliminate the Viking caravan wait list by having it run every year instead of every other year. We now have it set up for 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. If you want to do Viking, go to the ACI website where all the caravans are listed. Look for the caravan leader's name. If you want to give him a call, his phone number is there. His email address is there. Give him a call. If it looks like something you want to do, even if you're going to be on a wait list, go ahead and submit your application through ACI. It's a great system that's been set up. Some of the exciting things that are coming up, one of our caravan leaders, Peter Swart, some of you may know Peter, is trying to put together, as we speak, a European caravan. Not that we're going to send your rigs to Europe, but we are going to send hopefully send a lot of caravanners from our club to Europe to take about a 6-week tour across Europe. The scouting trip has been run. It was very successful, not so much because of the type of vehicle we were using, because they were not Airstreams, but the fact that everybody was an Airstream person, was a member of our club, made a big difference. We learned that by another club member who went on the second trip without Airstreamers, and he said it was a world of difference. We're working on a new pay system created by a home office. Hopefully when it gets set up, caravan leaders are going to have a much easier way of getting your payment when you pay by credit card. No longer will you have to call the home office to do that. The Nuts to Ruts are better known as the Oregon Trail Caravan is being used as our test case coming up shortly. If it works out, I think it will. Hopefully we can put that in force for all caravans coming up in 2025. That's pretty much the quick word, Mr. President. If you want to go to questions, it's getting late. Looks like we got 7 minutes left. But we're gung-ho, and if I can stay awake for that long, hopefully we can answer some of those questions.
All right, we've come with, thank you, Terry. Yeah, Florence, great job on that. Oh, great, right. Teresa's mentioning that, yeah, the caravan, you guys are piloting a new system. That's fantastic. I think, Tracy, do we answer your question? I think we did about waitlist yeah, we got that already.
So, hey, Ray, could you talk a little bit more about the wait list and how you guys are working on trying to make it easier for everybody, plus the fact that how deep people could go? I mean, you could be 30, 40 deep on a list and get called, correct? And can you explain that a little bit more?
I think what you're probably alluding to is last year, Alaska Caravan had some last minute withdrawals, and they had over 100 people on the wait list. That's over 3 years wait list. Massive email went out to just about everyone on that wait list, and not a one wanted to go. So extremely frustrating for caravan leaders. Even though it may be frustrating for you to be on a wait list that's 2 or 3 years long, it's more frustrating with the leader to have to deal with that. So we're experimenting also with the Alaska Caravan next year of running it much like the National Park Service. You'll make an application. If you don't get in, if you want to go again, you got to reapply again. And that's going to be frustrating for a lot of caravanners who have gotten kind of used to the wait list system. But if that system works, we'll go to both of the Alaska caravans and maybe to some of the other caravans that have longer wait lists, like Southwest, like Viking. We like to think that the Southeast Coast is already got 3 years out, 25, 26, and 27 booked. May have to do that on that caravan as well. So yes, we're trying to do things to make it a little less awesome to say that, well, I'm on the wait list for 2030.
So the question that Tracy Adams is asking is that how far ahead of time do you get a heads up if you're next to go on the Alaskan Caravan. And that
It
can
depends.
vary, right? Yeah. Okay.
Another big problem that caravan leaders have, and one of the toughest jobs, as I mentioned earlier, is the wait list, and keeping people informed of where they are on the wait list. It's almost impossible to every time somebody withdraws to inform 50 to 60 people that they've now moved up one slot. You'd be doing that quite often. So the best thing to do is just call the caravan leader and say, can you tell me where I am on the wait list? If and it's important to know that. So you've got to make plans. So feel free to email them or call them and ask them where am I on the wait list?
Here's a great question about the pavement system. And by
What?
the way, just a little, I know, Laura, you're gonna take that one, right?
Yeah, I would like to.
But I have a plug before you say that, and then
Okay.
as Florence says, we have a really strong finance committee now. And so Craig Fegley, he's the new on the finance committee. He's an ex-senior executive at Chase Morgan, JP Morgan. He's actually leading this initiative, working with Laura and the team on getting our payment methods better for clubs, regions, et cetera. Okay, there you go, Lori. I just wanted to mention Craig.
Yes, we're working on that because, of course, we have lots of challenges because, you know, the club is very complex. But what Ray's talking about a little bit a different system than what Rob would be referring to. So basically, we are creating what we're calling payment links for each caravan. So those caravan leaders can manage sending those out to their caravanners, which will help them manage all their stuff coming in. So it's a little bit different, but yes, overall, we're trying to find an umbrella method for everybody. So Craig is going to be taking that challenge on and see if he can make the lemonade out of all those lemons.
One of the things that that our finance committee, our treasurer, acting treasurer, Alan Rabb, brought to the board, I think last meeting, was that the credit, we know this already, right? But there was a really good analysis of the credit card fees. Like, 10 years ago, people wrote checks or they whatever. Nowadays, pretty much everything that happens at our club is credit cards. And with that comes the standard 2-3% fees. And that adds up a lot. And so it adds up for regions, local clubs, caravans, just membership. And so it's been a priority of ours to find a way through that, to be able to use ACH and also to address issues with currency in Canada and back and forth. And so again, Craig, with a strong background in the banking industry, is going to help us with that. But it's a high priority because it's a big expense line item on our expenses right now, both international and regions and local clubs.
Yeah, we're looking for a volume discount. That's what we want to try to get. Florence, did you?
There we go. I just want to mention real quickly, so we just had our Region 10 rally. We paid close to $2,000 in these fees, and times 12 regions times 100 some clubs. This is a really, really big deal. It's probably over $100,000 for ACI as a whole every single year, and it's important to know that there are people working on this, and hopefully, I don't know, a year maybe, we might have something.
Well, and the challenge is that we are very complicated. We're not a single entity. We're 103-ish local clubs, 12 regions, international caravans. And so we really, until now, didn't have anyone that had the experience in working with multi-entity accounts, which is typically a corporate thing because who else does that? And so we're really excited now. We're optimistic. If I talked to Craig a couple of weeks ago and he's like, oh my gosh. So fingers crossed and just be patient, but it's a high priority of ours right now.
Caravans run about, Laurie, help me out, just over $2 million a year. Most of that is probably through credit cards. So I don't want to ask what our fees are. I'm sure you know, Laurie.
I do.
Okay, there's a question, another one, Ray, from Gail. When you get contacted by a caravan leader to join a caravan, please respond to them. It will help the leaders a lot. More of a statement than a question, but
Thank you, Gail. Yeah.
Okay, we're at our hour, and I respect all of y'all's time. So we'll be on for a little bit longer, so you can stay on. But those of you that are at your time limit, thank you for joining us. Great questions and answers. And answers panel. Thank you. This is really helpful for us. And so follow up with us if you have any extra questions. Me, Lori, Ray, Florence, whatever. So as you all wind down, I did want to share another fun event that's going on. Not just because I'm going, but it's going to be fun. It's historic, and that's why I want to talk about it. So you'll see in the current Blue Beret that just came out on the first, there's an article about the 1963-64 around the world caravan. And those are the days when our club did amazing things. And so we're a vintage Airstream club. So thanks, Steve. And Joe Poplinski is going to be the lead. Steve Blackmer, he's the president of Vintage Airstream Club. Joe Poplinski, our club historian. David Gully, our club big guy on vintage. Bunch of other people as well for putting together a reenactment of that historical caravan. It's going to be going from Elkhart, Indiana, in about a month. Just about 4 days down to Jackson Center. And this is so important even to Airstream Inc., that their executives are going to be there to welcome the caravan to Jackson Center. And there's going to be a big event on the Airstream property. And some of those historical around the world caravan trailers, there are going to be 4 of them, are going to be parked out front of the Heritage Center and a big thing. And then there's a big party afterward to recognize the role of Helen Schwamborn, who is a person who started WBCCI working with Wally. So it's a really big historical thing. I was really excited that we were able to join them. We're kind of tagging along in our trailer, but it's really important for our club. And kudos to Steve and Joe and David, Mary Gully, and all the others for getting this going. All right. I think our questions have petered out, and I think that some of y'all on the East Coast are kind of petered out also. So
Absolutely.
thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate it. Travel safe, and we'll see you all down the road.
All right. See y'all. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.